If you ever think you have big calves, you don't. Lee Priest does. What the fuck? What on God's green earth is that? His calves and forearms are like from another person who was like 6'8", 480. I swear to God. Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for RP Strength. I've been a professor of exercise and sports science for some time, a competitive bodybuilder, and a jiu-jitsu grappler. And this time we're grappling with Lee Priest videos. Lee Priest, through the entire decade of the 90s and much of the 2000s, was a supremely dominant bodybuilder. And I believe Lee Priest is something like 5'4", if memory serves. So he's a short king, but maybe the kingliest of all short kings, because he also had obscene, monstrous physique and psychotic, enormous arms. Let's take a look at his training. Let's see if we can learn some things. Let's see if we can make a couple of cheeky criticisms. And because Lee Priest is an Aussie, I know he's going to take this all in stride. Oi, all banter, eh? So that should solve that one. And you might not understand some of the things that Lee Priest is saying in these videos because he speaks Australian. So if you don't, I'm going to give you a quick instructional guide on how to understand Australian. If you hear something that sounds like a dying snake, it's only one of two things that people have said. It's either so, like, so, how are you? Or no, I will not come back with you to your apartment, Marcy. And they sound like this. Sore and nor. Do you hear an R in there at the end? Weird, right? Some Australians even don't say pizza, they say pizza. What the f is pizza, motherfuckers? Anyway, I love the Australian peoples. I love their accent. I can't get enough. And Lee Priest is one of the best to ever do the thing. Let's see what we can learn.
Everyone's asking for your arm secrets.
Genetics. But seriously, Lee Priest has unbelievable genetics for damn near everything, and especially his arms. But that doesn't mean he hasn't learned a lot of cool shit along the way. So let's see what he says.
Well, there are no secrets, but if I'm doing barbell, any basic movement like this.
I have no idea what he's saying. Scott, can you translate from kangaroo, or is that koala dialect?
Any basic movement like this, 6 to 8 for mass.
Yeah.
6 to 8 barbells for mass. Not wrong, but not exactly descriptive and sort of outdated. It turns out that you don't have to use barbells. You can use cables, you can use machines, you can use dumbbells, and anywhere between sets of 5 and sets of 30 work. But I think for Lee, barbells and sets of 6 to 8 work best because I believe his arms just have to be more proportionate fast twitch fibers than the average person's arms, because only fast twitch fibers get that big and his arms are obnoxious. So I think for him, that kind of style probably worked really well.
And two, when you're doing them, always remember, don't cheat. Just bring it up and squeeze. Doing this doesn't squeeze your bicep anymore, it just works your delt.
False. The bicep is actually doing this motion as well. The bicep is involved in shoulder flexion. So you can get a better squeeze if you squeeze all the way up here, which we do with Jerry curls when Jared Feather does them. But you don't get a lot of bonus points for squeezing, so he's kind of onto some shit there. And he did say don't swing and don't cheat, which is sweet because a lot of you motherfuckers hear that shit.
And also, none of this shit where you're throwing it.
Preach that word, Lee.
Now, you can, if you want, you sometimes might get to here and you're struggling, you can lean back a little bit just to curl it in. As long as that little bit of cheating is just adding stress to the muscle. Doing this takes it away from the muscle.
So basically what Lee is saying here is that when you can't complete the rep, you can change the angle under control, get the leverage better, and complete the rep. That's actually pretty good advice. If you insist on doing that top half, then it might as well make that top half not a limiting factor so you can get some more work at the bottom. This is excellent advice. Very different than cheating, which is the purposeful use of momentum to kind of push through the whole exercise at the same time. And then at that point, you just have to decide, like, am I really using my biceps or am I really using just my glutes at this point? It's going to be some of both, but why not use the RP Hypertrophy app? Training for muscle growth is never going to be the same. When you get close to failure and you can't do it anymore, leaning back strategically is not a bad idea at all.
But you can lift more weight doing that.
I know it looks good for Instagram and shit like that.
Boom. He said it, not me.
Then your mates will go, oh, well, you're so strong.
Your mates never say that shit. They're like, cool, good set. And you're like, but where are the girls to say that I'm king?
What was the curl record again?
Oh, I can't remember. What did we do that day? 305.
305 pounds on a curl? What?
He took photos of it. He used to carry the photos in his gym bag to show to people as evidence. So
Pre-Instagram. I love it.
that's the thing. It's like, I don't lie about my weights. I've never lied about body part measurements like your bicep, tricep. Well, maybe my cock out a couple of inches, but
Doesn't add a couple inches to the cock. I say my cock is 2 inches, and I added a couple inches to that. All right. So, 2 things. 1, Lee's arms are absurd. 2, this is not the best choice of exercise for the gym, and I'll tell you why. It completely obviates presenting a lot of tension in a real stretched position for the muscle, because when he's here, it's just literally no tension at all. And he's not even here with no tension. He's here, so there's even less tension to the bicep. The impetus here is the peak contraction. And while it's a cool look because it looks like you're doing a most muscular, you're not really practicing for bodybuilding in the gym. You're just trying to train with your muscles. So if you took those cables and instead he got them down to his sides and stepped forward with them, then it would be a huge stretch from behind, and that would be way better. World Gym in Marina Del Rey, California. Scott, why don't we live the early 90s California lifestyle with waves and sand and beach and bitches and bodybuilding and dudes and oil and dudes and oil and dudes and oil. And am I still here talking? I'm in. Triceps, good range of motion here. Again, he's focusing more on the squeeze and less on the stretch. I don't love that. I also hate the rope because it incentivizes you focusing on the squeeze and not on the stretch. Just my 2 cents there. Ooh, some incline curl action. Nice. This is done very well. I would love to see that bench go really, really far back, even down to a 30-degree angle, even down flat. I've actually recently got into lying down flat on a bench and doing curls that touch the ground and come up. Much more tension at the stretch. My biceps get psychotically sore reliably for the first time in my life, week after week. And it's really, really going super well. So incline curls are great because they allow you a little bit of tension under the stretch, but the more you incline all the way down really to, or the less you incline rather, the more you take that seat and go back with it, the more emphasis there is on the biceps in that stretch position, probably sort of objectively making them a really, really better exercise. Got some push downs. It's kind of neat. You can get, so what Lee is doing, he's kind of leaning out of the way for the cable so you can bring the implement closer to himself, which is cool because you can get that better stretch in the back of your triceps. Otherwise, you do this out here. It's kind of just all long head weirdness. You can do that from back training. This is good technique. I would love to see Lee go up. Well, I'll put this another way. For those of you at home who want some insight on this, come up much higher so you get a notable tricep stretch that's painful. Hold it for a second or two, then come back and pulse down. Though I will say, he's kind of coming up all the way because his arms are so goddamn big. Also, his forearms are obscene. Just at his full range for him. Okay. Scott, was that a warm-up set or a work set?
All the sets look exactly like that, which is the other reason I
All the sets look exactly like that. So guys, check this out. I want to have an understanding built between us here watching this together. One of the last hiding places for the anti-science bros who love to train to failure for ego reasons, nothing wrong with that as long as you know why you're doing it, is, man, all the pros go to failure. Bullshit. No, they don't. Lee Priest has bigger arms than you. Period. I don't give who you are watching this, unless you're Samson Dauda, and then hello. Lee Priest seemed like never went to failure a day in his life from any video I have ever seen. I don't know what RIR that was, but it looked like 5 to me. And because he did so many sets, he still got gigantic arms. I wouldn't say that proves that failure training is suboptimal, but it sure as shit starts to illustrate that failure training is not a requirement for awesome gains. Nor is it true that RIR is something just nerds do and failure is what all bros do. Lee Priest invented brohood. He's the quintessential bro. And he's not going anywhere close to failure. And a lot of the early 90s guys just never went to failure. And a lot of them had unbelievable physiques. So careful when you say that bros all go to failure. They just fucking don't.
really you don't need to do this. You know, young kids, young guys, if you masturbate, that's enough.
Boom. Forearm training, finally. Am I the only person other than Lee Priest that trains forearms? I'm really happy he's doing this because I guess his forearms had a phenomenal genetics, but then he went over the top by actually training his forearms. Guys, I'll say this. If you have big upper arms, biceps, triceps, shoulders, that looks great. But with skinny forearms, there's something missing. However, if you have big ass arms and your forearms are big, it just takes your arms to a totally different level. It's the ultimate match. It's like a girl with a nice ass is dope. What's up, baby? But a girl with a nice ass and some hamstrings, marron, fucking beautiful. Big difference. You don't have to train your forearms. It's a phenomenal waste of time for most people. But if you're looking to make your arms look as Lee Priestly as possible, man, some forearm training, some wrist curls of various kinds, consistently 2 to 3 times a week, really, really sharp idea. You may like your results quite a bit. What I do is I train them just like I train any other muscle, and the pump on those motherfuckers, holy balls. And no, masturbating is not a sufficient resistance to grow your forearms much. Unless you're using like chalk and sawdust to jack off with. Scott, you ever try that? It feels like something, I'll tell you that. All right, hopefully you guys are having fun. There's more video ahead, but if you want a longer, uncut, more extended edition with things I'm commenting on that would get us kiboshed from YouTube, the members area is the place to be. It's just a little bit of money, and you get tons of other videos, including every single Exercise Scientist mega uncut version in the actual price. So give it a thought and look at our member section.
Next time, if someone asks me a question.
I was literally about to say, based on his facial expressions, he looks like he's trying, and then he just starts leisurely conversing during the set, disproving me instantly.
Lee, what's it like to compete with those big guys? Use the word tall, not big.
Accurate, although they do weigh a lot more. But allometrically scaled, Lee Priest is still a man. Google that shit.
Because really, those guys are 6 foot. And their measurements are the same as mine, 5'4.5".
Scott, what does he mean by mine? M-O-O-I-N-E. He's talking that shit, and Lee Priest is real good at it. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But also, coming from a short king too, it seemed like short king excuses to me. Short kings never run out of fucking excuses. Like, yeah, you're tall, but got these other great things going. Yeah, but you're still short, pussy. And women would date you if they could find where you are. They can't see you, pimp. You're down there somewhere with the roaches and shit. And I'm not talking to you, Lee Priest, because you're probably an inch taller than me. I'm really talking to myself. And notice, no bitches around. We stay bitchless out here, these hoes. And by I mean not, because they're not around. I'm good, Scott. Don't need to ask me if I'm okay. You never fucking do.
Oh, I'm fine now.
Good. Fine. All right. Gold's Gym Venice. Ooh, some barbell pressing. I wasn't expecting that. All right. Going down to just above the chest. I don't love that because there's more room and we can get a better stretch, but this is pretty good range of motion. Very good control. 3 plates, not too shabby. He was strong. He was staring at himself the entire time. What is that, Scott? Find someone who looks at you like Mike O'Hearn looks at himself. I saw that video recently. I was like, well, he really does look at himself like, he's a good looking guy. What can I say?
That wakes up the joints.
Big ass delts. Veins. This is kind of a fly press combo. Looks quite good, getting a real deep stretch there at the bottom. Excellent. Lee Priest training to me is like fundamentally quite good. Like this almost nothing he does where I'm like, good God, what is that? Usually I'm like either like, oh, that's really good, or like, oh, that's okay, or like, that's not great, but if it works for you, dope. I like the training. I don't have a ton of things like a ton of personal beef on this account. This is good stuff. Some people you watch them train and you're like, I don't even, are you trolling us? Is this a joke? This is pretty good stuff.
Unlike some pros, I think some of them are allergic to the metal. They don't want to touch it.
Talk that shit, Lee. Ooh. all the way down. Good technique, good range of motion with the bench press. Multiple reps with 315. By the way, guys, in competition shape, Lee Priest weighed around 200 pounds. 200 pounds, you benching 3 plates like a recreational activity. That's pretty dope. Scott, let's do a little quick tabulation of what's in this scene. 480p resolution, palm trees, beautiful California outside, gigantic arms, amazing haircut. Is there more to life than this?
This is 11 out of 10. This is S tier.
S tier content.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, full range of motion dips. So good to see. God, he's f***ing jacked. So, he could get deeper. I don't know what his shoulder injury status is. I would love to see deeper, but this is pretty goddamn good. And when your horseshoe on your triceps like the size of a Clydesdale, what more am I going to say about it?
Do I look tall like that?
I'm used to these kinds of camera angles from my other line of work. Scott, what line of work is it? Quick. I'm a plumber, Scott, you sick f***. You can say plumber on air. Something's plumbing me. Scott, explain Lee's calves to me in a way that I can understand them.
They're as wide as his quads.
If you ever, and yes, they're getting pushed up on that thing, doesn't matter. If you ever think you have big calves, you don't. Lee Priest does. What the fuck? What on God's green earth is that? And that's not synthol either. Them's real calves. Holy shit. His calves and forearms are like from another person who was like 6'8", 480. I swear to God. Good exercise too. So this exercise really isolates the fuck out of your quads. It's basically a free weight version of leg extension. I would prefer that he went much lower, but to be honest, because he's a short king, I don't think he can. He is making up for it by holding extra weights. What is he holding with, you ask? The world's most ridiculous looking arms. Hey, Scott, remember when your front delt stuck 3 inches out in front of your bicep, but you have the world's best biceps also? What is going on here? Lee Priest must look at the current guys and he's like, eh. And you're like, oh, what are you saying, Lee Priest? You talking that? Holy shit, you looked like this? Wild. Oh, there we go. Fucking hell. Now, okay, technical critique. You should be going slower on the way down. You should be holding deeper. And he should be having his legs completely locked out to stretch that calf out as it's being trained. Now, some of you may get clever and say, well, Dr. Mike, he's got the big calves. Yeah, no shit, but we can do a little bit better with reasoning than monkey see, monkey do. Lee Priest has big calves because he put in a load of work over a ton of years and he has phenomenal genetics. You're not going to get calves like him unless you do shit as right as possible. And you still won't get calves like him, but you'll get calves that bitches notice at least if you do it right. Lee Priest can get away with some shit that's not optimal because holy fucking shit, he's Lee Priest. Do you think, you look at his body, you're like, yeah, I think his exact technique and set and rep scheme is what got him here. That's part of it, a small part. The rest is genetics and time spending lifting heavy weights. But you're already doing those two things. You didn't pick your genetics and you're already in training really hard. You might as well optimize on the margins that Lee maybe just never had to, never considered. So yeah, do your calves with a slower eccentric, take that bottom pause for 2 to 4 whole seconds and keep your knees all the way back and locked out. I promise you, for you and your calf genetics, you will get the best results. You want goofy calves like Lee? There ain't nothing you can do for that shit unless God blessed you like he blessed Lee Priest. It's the opposite of Achilles. That mother got dunked in with the shit. They didn't get his tendon. God must have dunked in Lee's legs, dunked in one arm at a time, and his chest and back, he was like, they'll still be great. Christ. That really does sum up the whole video, doesn't it?
I had to leave that in.
Who knows what's going on? All right, folks, what can we learn from Lee Priest? We can learn that genetics matter a ton. We can learn that multiple decades of training add up. And we can learn that if you do fundamentally good stuff, keep it under control, use good technique, do lots of sets, do plenty of exercises, you're going to get great results. Can we optimize on the margins? Yeah. Can we train substantially closer to failure than Lee Priest did and get better results over a shorter time? Probably. Can we focus on exercises and techniques that really emphasize the eccentric and deep stretch and not so much the peak contraction? Probably. But is Lee Priest one of the greatest to ever do it? Yeah, 100%. Mega respect to Lee. Mega respect to you guys who stuck through this video the long way. And best of luck in your own training. And I'll see you guys next time. All right, folks, that was pretty fun. This video right here is something YouTube desperately wants you to click on so that the algorithm does things and like some rich people at the Alphabet Corporation make lots of money. I don't know. It has nothing to do with me. Give it a click.